Thank you, so Cable, for joining us at Warwick Congress 2017. How has your experience been so far?
Very good, extremely well organised, meticulously organised, and a good crowd of students who seem to be quite engaged.
That's lovely to hear. So we shall get straight into the question. So, in your speech, you mentioned about the shift into a skilled labor economy. So, do you think that this shift will cause an increase in economic inequality in the UK?
Well, there's an interesting. We have to separate out myths and facts. I mean, if people believe that Britain is becoming a more unequal country, it's becoming part of the kind of political platitudes almost. But actually, if you look at standard measures of income inequality, Gini coefficients, Britain isn't becoming more unequal, except at the very top. I mean, I think the key point is that the top 1% are doing extraordinarily well, and these are the ultra rich, if you like. But if you're talking about the top 10%, no different from the past. So I think we need to be very careful with these generalizations about inequality. If you're looking at a bigger global level, I mean, one of the points I was making is, of course, is the big internet company monopolies are creating a vast amounts of wealth, which is very highly concentrated on, Mr. Zuckerberg and his fellow founders and the founders of Apple and the rest of them. And there is a big issue about who taxes that wealth.
So then, why do you think there's such a need for a skilled labor-based economy?
Well, technology is moving, it would appear, faster than ever. So people are going to have to adapt. The skills of today are not necessarily the skills of tomorrow. So we are going. As a society, we do have to invest more and more in training and retraining, particularly for adults. And I was making the point that one of our big deficiencies as a country is the lack of provision for adult education. And there's some good ideas out there for things like transferable vouchers, which would enable adults to retrain given the advance of digital technology and the way that this is changing the demand for traditional skills.
So recently in Finland, they initiated a minimal income trialing system for the unemployed sector of the economy. Do you think that's necessary in other countries as well in the future, given the rise in automation now?
I think one needs to be a bit careful with this idea of universal income. It's a simple idea for a very complicated problem, and it's quite difficult to get it right. One tends to forget as well that Britain and other countries have already had schemes designed to create a minimum income for people in work as well as out of work. The British had a system of tax credits, which is a bit like universal income, but it became very, very complicated. And if you were going to try and replace the vast amounts of complicated benefits in this country, including things like housing benefit, council tax benefit, it's very difficult to see how you would do it without creating a lot of losers. So I'm interested in trials, but I'm not. I don't think we're going to get any miraculous new ideas out of it.
I completely agree with that. Another thing to add is that recently there's been an increase in innovation and automation in the transport industry, and since you were the former Secretary of Business and Innovation, I was wondering on your opinion about self-driven cars and self-driven taxis, for example, in Singapore. What do you think are the ethical implications behind that and the effects on the overall economy?
Well, I'm all in favour of trying the technology, and when I was in government, I promoted the programme. And it does seem to be happening. I mean, you are getting cars that can park themselves and limited amounts of self-driving vehicles on roads. I think it is going to advance. It has got implications for people who make a living driving, but I think the problems involved in driving are so complex, and the once you get beyond a few standard procedures, the difficulties of automating suggest to me that it's not going to progress as fast or far as some people imagine. Um, where it becomes quite difficult is where something goes wrong, or one would assume that a self-driving system is safer than one that depends on humans who have error. But nonetheless, where you do get somebody killed, then there is a big storm. I mean, I think this has already happened in the United States. There is issues about insurance liability. I mean, who is responsible in the case of an accident? And the self-drive car, I mean, what is the concept of driver error and issues like that? So it is tricky. It's not just technical, it's legal and ethical. But I'm broadly in favour of pushing experimentation with driverless cars as far as we can.
All right. Thank you so much for your time. Hope you enjoyed the
It's a pleasure.
conference.
Okay, thank you.